I believe that Bitcoin should be at least $2 million a coin, but that's my opinion. I guess Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy says 21 million a coin. I hope he's right. Elon Musk, I think somewhere between the two of us, and then you've got Warren Buffett, who's a better investor than I'll ever be. He thinks it should be zero. He doesn't see any value in Bitcoin at all. But even Buffett has said that blockchain technology is completely transformative, and he sees the upside in blockchain. And so about 2023, I got very aggressively involved in blockchain, October of 23 and into 24, early 24. I had met some friends of mine back in 17. A good buddy of mine in 2018 introduced me to a guy that had created a blockchain project called Gala Games. If you guys have been into crypto or blockchain, you're probably familiar. It was the #1 performing cryptocurrency in the world in 2021. And it's a long story. The short version is I needed to call my friend back to redo a transaction to buy Node software, which I didn't even know what a node was. He explained to me it was basically software. You could put it on your computer, and that this blockchain community would pay me to borrow my computer power. And I remember this was 2018. I said, well, how much do they pay you? And he said, well, they give you Gala tokens. And I asked, well, how much is a Gala token worth? And he said, well, right now, nothing. And I just said, well, that sounds amazing. You're going to borrow my computer and pay me magic internet money that's not worth anything. I said, it sounds amazing for them, but not so great for me. And he just said, well, listen, it's not worth anything now, but if people start playing these games, it could be worth a lot. And like I said, long story short, I needed to call him back. I didn't. Fast forward, it was probably a year and a half. I was supposed to call him back in 2020. And we get into like November of 21, and he started posting about Gala Games on his Facebook page. And I was like, what's up with Gala Games, man? And he's like, Tony, he goes, there's millions of people playing these games. He's like, you need to get on a Zoom with me. And I got on the link. And he said he'd been selling these tokens, these Gala tokens that his nodes had been earning him for, a year and a half, 2 years. And I asked him, I said, how much have you sold? And he said, a little over $40 million worth. And I was like, how much have you really sold? I thought he was kidding. And he started showing me trading, and he had sold, it was like 42 million worth of Gala. Then another buddy of mine sold like 48 million. And then our other buddy, he said he off-ramped $4.3 billion worth. And I was like, on games, and it was just kind of shocking to me. And it is what it is. I missed the opportunity. It wasn't the first one I've missed. And unfortunately, it won't be the last one. I'm sure you guys get deal flow that comes across your desk once in a while. And some of them are winners, and maybe you take advantage of them, maybe you don't. But I kept building my businesses. And then in October of 23, my friend that had made over 4 billion on the Gala blockchain asked me to come look at the projects they were working on. And I was busy, but I think Gala hit like a $40+ billion market cap in 3.5 years. And so when you have a friend that created a $40 billion market cap company in 3.5 years, you take a day and go see what he's working on. And it was very impressive. They had at that time 8 layer 1 blockchains they had developed, and 8 different industries, big industries: energy, agriculture, health and wellness, banking. I actually knew the banking blockchain CEO. She didn't know me, but I have a credit card processing company that's pretty good size. Through our partnerships, we do maybe 4 to 5 billion a year in transactions. And she's one of the original founders of Discover Card here in the United States, and was the first president of Discover Bank. And so when I saw her talking about blockchain, crypto, I was surprised, because banking and blockchain are like oil and water. They don't really go together. And so she told me, listen, Tony, I truly believe in the next 5 to 10 years, blockchain technology will make everyone on planet Earth bankable. And she spent probably 20 minutes explaining why she believed that. And it made a lot of sense. And pretty much from that moment forward, I started researching, digging in any free 15, 20-minute gap I had in my schedule. I was watching a TED Talk on Web3 or YouTube videos on blockchain and how it works and how it's shifting business. And I came across an article. It was 2023, but the article was from like late 21. The World Economic Forum had written an article, and they estimated blockchain technology would disrupt up to $867 trillion in traditional markets, or 867 trillion. So it was like the biggest shift in wealth in human history. It's not a once in a lifetime number, it's a one-time number. And so I was just looking at that going, as an entrepreneur, how do we position ourselves in the middle of that? And I talked with the community, this blockchain community. I said, listen, what about a communications-based blockchain? Communications, commerce, anywhere people are utilizing language to make sales, to present, to convert sales, I think we could build a blockchain around that. They love the idea, and that's where this platform was really born. There's 2 current active services on what's called the Rally blockchain that are actually customer facing right now. We're in beta, but we have real paying customers on both projects, almost 1,000 clients in each project. Our-Link, which is the platform we're on, we looked at Zoom and we felt like there were kind of 3 areas where Zoom was vulnerable to an attack. Price point was one. Our accounting firm, which, we had an enterprise account with Zoom doing 3 rooms, so we could do 3 of our executives, we could do meetings at the same time, up to 1,000 people per meeting. And we ended up moving over to Our-Link, and it gave us 5 rooms up to 1,000 per meeting, and it cut our cost by over $3,000 per year. So the price point was a no-brainer. We actually are just launching the white label version, where we'll have our own fully branded solution. My accounting firm, meaning Our-Link Studio, that brand and logo at the top left, that's not there. It's the Jorns and Associates. It's my company's logo at the top left. The domain name is like meet.jornstax.com. It's not even the Our-Link domain name. It is our platform. And we still save over $1,000 a year with our own white labeled solution. And so pricing was a no-brainer. But then this platform is built to convert sales. And so with conversion, you can certainly present just like you can present with Zoom, but there's even better bells and whistles on presenting. Like I can bring up an interactive web page, which I just brought up now. You guys are actually in control of your own screen. So each of you can scroll at your own pace, go through the site at your own pace, and I can bring up any web page I want. I can bring up a static one where I'm controlling your screen, but this is different. This is something where you guys can kind of scroll at your own pace. If I'm done sharing that, I can just close it out. If I've got a video that I want to share, I can just share it.
Do you ever wish you'd played a part in a tech revolution
I can mute
before
it
got
talk
really
over
big?
it.
Like Facebook,
I can
when
rewind.
it was a Harvard school, you missed out on those 3. But today, you have a chance to get in on a project that's about to change the way the world communicates.
With Zoom,
forever.
I remember I would always have to wait. I would change my audio setting from microphone to computer. And if I'm done with the video, I can close it out. But with Zoom, I would change my audio setting. I would share my screen. I would wait 5 seconds, skip a YouTube ad, and then I would watch the video that I had pulled up. And the videos were always laggy. Like there was always little hesitations, and it is what it is. But here, preloading the video, it plays clean. Now, if I've got a slideshow, I can just go right into the slideshow. It makes it just as easy to present from a phone as it does from a laptop. If I'm done with the slideshow, I can close it out. And if someone wants to purchase, I can pull up a call to action. And I can say, hey, if you want to buy, you can buy. You can click the call to action button, and it's fully customizable. So like our accounting firm, we have a call to action that'll pull up for the client to enter their credit card info so they can pay their deposit. I have other projects with our research and development tax credit where they have to sign a contract, so we can pull up a full contract. There's insurance companies that are excited about the idea of closing a transaction and a sale inside a platform like this instead of using a third party. So if I have a contract, somebody like Pacific Life, they're a big life insurance company here in the United States, this contract, you can go through the contract, but you can also, if you scroll down, you can sign the contract. And so, it's basically allowing you to execute an agreement while you're inside the meeting, which is way better than saying, hey, Billy, did you get the DocuSign, check your spam folder and things like that. This is a much, much better mousetrap. And the last thing is we've got an AI digital assistant. And it's a standalone service right now. We launched, it's called Operly, which stands for Operate Simply. But we're actually integrating it in to this platform as well to help with conversion. And so most of you have probably used like an AI note taker, maybe like an Otter or Fathom, if you do Zooms and stuff for your companies. And the AI note taking, when they're done with the meeting, basically your AI note taker will give you action items. Hey, Tony, here's 10 things you need to do, after the meeting. This is what you told them. You'd send this email, you'd send links to them to follow up. You'd set up a follow-up appointment on Tuesday, whatever it is. And again, you start going through those actions and it's great. It's convenient. It helps you break down the meeting, summarize, any action items that need to be taken. Instead of just giving you action items though, What if you had a digital assistant that just started taking action during the meeting? So imagine you do a meeting with 100 people and you pull up a call to action button and 60 people click on it. 40 people make a purchase. And as it's happening, your AI digital assistant sends you notes and messages and says, hey, you had 60 people click the call to action, 40 have went ahead and made the purchase. The other 20, I started messaging them personally in the chat and just saying, hey, I noticed you clicked the call to action button. It looked like you wanted to sign up, but you haven't gone ahead and finished the process. Is there anything I can help you out with? Do you have any additional questions? And let's say 10 of the people that walked them through and they went ahead and moved forward. But now you've still got 40 people that never clicked the call to action, 10 people that even after the AI assistant was trying to help them, it didn't go through and make the final purchase. And so it messages all 50 people. And it says, hey, Tony, I sent a message to all the 50 people that haven't converted to a sale yet. And I asked them if they'd be open to a 10 a.m. appointment at 11 o'clock, or 10 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. And out of the 50 people, 32 of them said yes. So I went ahead and booked that in your calendar for you, and I sent links out to all of them. So you'll have a follow-up meeting with those 32 so you can further answer their questions and see if you can get them moving forward. So instead of just giving me action items, the AI assistant will just start taking action. And it's already doing that for my businesses right now. And I'll kind of wrap up the presentation. We can open it up for some questions with this, but I want to share my screen and show you guys Opperly, which this is a kind of a one-stop shop for all the AI tools. So instead of having, GPT Plus, OpenClaw for your agentic, Jasper, Superhuman Motion, all these for $50 a month, you can combine all of them in one place. So I've got my Opperly AI assistant. If I go to my homepage here, it knows where I'm at, says good morning, knows I'm here in Puerto Rico. It's got 17 priorities, 39 unread emails, a clear afternoon. It's ready to go. I can use it like a chat, like an OpenClaw or OpenAI, I guess Chat GPT. If I've got my executive assistant in here, I can chat with it and ask it for things. But I can also attach all my communications, my emails, my messengers, my Slack channels, and all of my email accounts in one inbox. All of my calendars in one inbox, in one place, one calendar. So I don't have double bookings. I can book for one business. I've got over 50 companies, I guess, between my wife and I, and we all have calendars, different email accounts for different companies. My phone has its own calendar. And so it consolidates all of them in one place. And because it has access to all that, the chat's a little different. So what's cool, if I have a meeting and I put someone's full name, it'll give me a full dossier on who I'm getting ready to meet with. So if I said, I'm going to meet with, Dr. Mike Clark, it's going to say, he's a world-renowned leader in sports medicine. He was a physical therapist for the Phoenix Suns. And it kind of lets me know what we're talking about and what notable achievements he's had and where he may be able to help us grow. And so in the chat, if it's tied into my email, I can ask it different questions. I can say, hey, can you draft an email to my wife and give her the rest of my schedule? And when I ask it that, it says, I've prepared a draft of your schedule for Julie. And it knows to call her sweetheart, because the first time I had it email her, it said, hi, Julie. And about 2 minutes later, she came in the room and she's like, you didn't write this email. And I was like, no, I said, Opperly wrote it. I said, how did you know? And she says, because it said, hi, Julie. And she was like, you wouldn't say that. You would say like, hi, sweetheart. So I immediately messaged Opperly and said, hey, anytime you message my wife on my behalf, refer to her as sweetheart. And it's never forgot that. So it has permanent memory, and it also has semantic search. So if I said, hey, pull up the dossier, I know I was talking to somebody that worked with the Phoenix Suns, it'll know which dossier to pull up. And then if I've got anything creative that I'm working on, instead of having Canva or using an AI to do video or images, I can use the Opperly image generator and use any of the big LLMs I want. I can use Nano Banana, GPT, Grok, Imagine, Seedream. If I'm doing videos, Seedance is probably one of the best right now, but I can use Kling, Veo. Slideshows, instead of using Canva, I can have it create a slideshow and knock that out. My social media posting, I can automate all of it from my Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything. After I've built things out, I've got my library. So the different images I've created, if I wanted to create a book cover, videos that I've done, slideshows, knocks out a slideshow in a few minutes. The videos, it can knock those out pretty quick. Now, at the end of the day, instead of paying for all these different LLMs, I've got one that houses everything, all the big ones, and the agentic AI. I can spin up an agent in a matter of minutes. So if I've got a new team member that I want to create, let's say to generate leads for Jorn's research and development tax credits. So that's what I want this to do. So I'm going to call it Gene Generate. So he's going to do a lead generation for my accounting firm, focus on tax credits. We want lead generation, so we need content creation. We probably want good communication from somebody that's doing that. Understanding market research, data analysis, knowing who to contact, and probably good customer relations as well. And then let's say next, communication, balance. Let's make, because it's lead generation, pretty energetic, witty as well. And then, we want small and medium sized business owners and owners who spend money on R&D. And then next step, it's going to create a prompt for me. And I can edit the prompt. I could copy the prompt and put it back into Operaly and say, I want to do a master prompt and have it go through all the LLMs. But in a few seconds, it's generated the role. This is a seasoned professional lead generation specialist for Jorn's research and development tax credits. Your primary mission is to identify, engage, and qualify small and medium-sized business owners who are eligible for R&D tax credits. It's got R&D tax legislation, deep understanding of qualifying activities, expenditures defined by tax attorneys, so on and so forth. So it creates that team member for me, and now I have access. Now, I can spin up a team member like that, or I can do it by mission. So if I have a mission, let's say I want to clean up my overdue tasks, and it's going to use my project manager, my executive AI. And let's say I don't need a research assistant for that. Let's say I want to clean up my overdue tasks. Maybe, let's say an executive coach. We'll add him to the team. And now that he's on the crew, I can stage this mission. It's going to clean up my overdue tasks, tell me what should happen this week. And it's planning a draft out right now. So it's got the project manager that's going to do an audit of all overdue tasks and deadlines as of July 9th, which is right now. The project manager is going to do task cleanup and rescheduling plan, which I'm going to have to approve their plan. And the executive AI is going to give me a weekly outlook and a priority briefing. If I launch that mission, it's going to start going to work. And it will start cleaning up my task list and give me an update on what it decided that needs to happen. And some of the stuff I'm going to have to sign off on. Some of it it'll do on its own. And so in essence, what we've created is a one-stop shop for AI. Now, I normally use this on my phone. Let me stop sharing. So I have the app on my phone. So normally I'll just talk to it and have it do things for me that normally I wouldn't do myself, or my assistant would have to do for me, which again, I think it's saving me. I have over 2,000 items that are automated right now. And using the talk, I can say, hey, can you send an email to my wife and let her know when I fly out of town tomorrow, heading to the Dominican Republic?
I've saved a draft email to sweetheart Julie Hang with the subject "Flight to Dominican Republic tomorrow." The body says, "Hi, sweetheart.
That's all. Thanks. Appreciate it." So it's basically going to let her know exactly what I needed to let her know. And so having it go through that, it's automated to get rid of any spam emails, any marketing emails. It archives them. So it'll do follow-up drip campaigns, like whatever I want to program those agents to do. It's like having an employee 24/7, 365 that never asks for a day off, never asks for a break. And you can spin up unlimited AI agents.
But the crazy part here, sorry to cut you off, Tony, is you're limiting the human error factor into the equation, the human limitations. For example, if I told my assistant Tomas, set up a meeting, let's say with Andre, right? He's on the call right now. My assistant has no idea, unless I've been working with my assistant my entire life, that maybe I had a conversation with Andre 6 years ago and we both forgot. And that happened to a good friend of ours, Jim Bunch. He was going in, they got introduced into a meeting, they hopped on an R link, and Opperly gave the dossier on that person, and it scraped the emails and everything for like 10 years, and I found out that Jim had already been in communication with this person through email, and it gave the whole summary. So he's like, by the way, Jim, you already met with John. And so when
6 years. Yeah, 6 years ago.
You already met. So it's insane.
No, it's amazing. I'll just tell you, like, and as people are starting to use it, the amount of time it's saving, and like you said, the efficiency, it knows and remembers everything. And so from a conversion standpoint, from a presentation standpoint, our link's, flat out better than Zoom. From a AI executive assistant standpoint, there's nothing on the market that combines all the big LLMs, all the agentic AIs under one umbrella. And we're doing that. And I think the best thing about what we do, and kind of the third area we're attacking Zoom, and really the main area we're attacking all the big LLMs, is we use blockchain technology to create the ability for the users to own and control their data. And a lot of people don't realize this, but like Zoom back in March through August of 2023, they were sharing everyone's data with their AI. And you can research it. I mean, it's on Google. It came out and people were upset about it. But what were you going to do? You could go to Google Meet. You could go to Microsoft Teams. Those guys are better at mining data than Zoom is. And so I look at a way to own and control my data, and more importantly, to monetize our data. And right now, there's over $3 trillion a year going to these huge corporations, companies like ChatGPT, Grok, Google, Zuckerberg at Facebook, at Bezos at Amazon. Like, they're making trillions a year. The average American, our data, private data, is worth about $6,563 per year. Average Europeans, just under $1,700 per year, the data is worth. Emerging markets. In an emerging market, if they're online, which 6 billion people around the world are online, their data is worth about $300 per year. And the bad news for the 6 billion of us that are online, out of that 3 trillion that's going to get paid out to these huge companies and corporations, we get zero. We get nothing. And I think we've conceded to the fact as humans that Mark Zuckerberg has been listening to me this whole time, and Google and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates at ChatGPT, and now Bill Gates at Anthropic as well. He's a big investor in all those things. And it's like, what we're doing is allowing people to start choosing between that centralized control, which is where we've all lived all of our lives, where all the data, all the control is a few huge corporations. And then you've got decentralized control. And blockchain technology is allowing, for the first time ever, people to choose that decentralized control where they control their data, they own their data, and eventually they can monetize their data. They can make money. Maybe you won't make 1,700 in Europe. Maybe what if you made 1,000 a year off of your data? That's 1,000 more than you're getting right now. And I think the problem for the 6 billion people is they don't even know they have a choice. They don't even know it's an option. And so what we're doing is educating society and going, listen, you have a choice and you have to choose. If you don't choose or don't even know you have a choice, Mark Zuckerberg is happy to choose for you. He already has. Google has chosen for you. ChatGPT has chosen for you. And they all chose centralized, where they control your data. And so for the first time in history, we've got that ability for society to make that choice. And so what we're looking for really are people that can help us build our community. And we reward people for doing that. Because I don't own Rlink, I don't own Opperly, neither does Billy. We all do. The users actually own the platform. That's why we can trust ourselves, because we're the owners. And so we voted that we should all, as owners and users, control our own data and be able to monetize our data and make money off of our data. Instead of Zuckerberg and Google and Bezos and all these guys, we said, okay, what if the users could control and monetize their data? And I think everyone we've shared that with, they're excited about that opportunity. They're excited about that concept. I think society is getting to a point where we are kind of fed up with talking about taking a trip to the Dominican Republic, and all of a sudden, minutes later, you're getting advertisements for flights to the Dominican Republic or cruises to the Dominican Republic on your phone, and it's just, it is what it is. For years, it was like, oh, that's weird. That happens. It's just part of life. Now we're going, what if we could get paid if someone wanted to advertise to me? And I think that's becoming a reality utilizing blockchain tech. And there's 3 ways people can be involved in our community. Number 1, using the products and the services. And that's where I tell everybody to start. If you love the products and services, if you're doing Zooms, if you're using ChatGPT, if you're using OpenClaw, and you start using our service and you realize, man, this is better than Zoom, this is better than GPT, then what I would recommend is start sharing it with others. Maybe have your company do a white label. And as you do that, you get rewarded in tokens. You get a revenue share basically for helping to grow the community. And if you're doing that, you also have an opportunity to own the underlying technology through running software. It's called node software. And you can purchase nodes. There's different levels from like $250 for a mini node to a $2,500 light node to a full smart node, which is around $15,000. And so depending on what, where people are at financially, they may choose, a higher level or a lower level. But the beauty of what we do in blockchain, I think there's two areas where we are light years ahead of the rest of the world. Number one, our community has figured out how to make the blockchain invisible, to where someone like my mom can use this platform or sign up for Operaly, use her credit card, and she's participating in blockchain technology and doesn't have a clue that she's participating in blockchain technology. She doesn't even need to know it, doesn't need to understand it. Kind of like the internet. Like my mom doesn't know what HTML is or an SSL certificate. I don't really either, but we can both watch our shows on Netflix, check our email, check the bank statement, pay our credit card bills. Like the internet is invisible, the code itself. Entrepreneurs made it so normal people could use it. No one has really done that in the blockchain yet. There's about 7% of the planet that's involved in cryptocurrency or blockchain. There's another 93% that's wide open. We just have to be able to go to market and get them. And so for us, being able to expose blockchain to the 93% is a massive deal. The second area is we tie revenue on chain. We're creating objective value on the blockchain for the first time ever. And I don't have a problem with subjective value. I said earlier, I think Bitcoin should be 2 million a coin, but that's my opinion. Warren Buffett says 0. Michael Saylor says 21 million. None of us know. We'll never know. Like the market will determine who's more right and who's more wrong over the next several years. I hope it's Michael Saylor and not Warren Buffett. But at the end of the day, it's all just an opinion for us. Now, if you look at a company like Apple, it's not my opinion that Apple is a valuable company. Last year, their gross profit was just under $200 billion. The world knows Apple is valuable because the world can do math. If you look at the revenue and you look at the expenses and the gross profit is hovering in 200 billion range, it's a valuable company. What we do is 100% of our revenue. When we come out of beta, the community voted on something called Smart Flow, and 100% of the revenue will go in and just buy our token out of the open market. Almost like if Jeff Bezos said, when you check out on Amazon, you have to buy Amazon stock, and then send us your stock and we'll send you the phone charger you bought, or the pair of sunglasses, like whatever it is you bought on Amazon. Now, they don't do that. I don't know if legally they could force people to buy their stock, but if they could do that and did, the value of their stock would skyrocket. There's not enough sellers at the current stock price to meet that kind of buy-side demand. And so the market would have to shift probably aggressively in the upwards direction. And so what we do is our goal has nothing to do with building up a token value. It's to build another multi-billion-dollar company where 100% of the revenue goes in to purchase the token out of the market. Now, I can't say we're going to do what Gala Games did. They were the number one performing cryptocurrency in the world in 2021 during the last big bull run. But in the first week of this month, we did more revenue than Gala Games did their first 3 years combined. And so our trajectory is very, very strong. And now it's just a matter of spreading the word.